I'm really excited to get into today's reading because we're going to get to talk about Saturn, a very important planet in our chart. And through this pick a card, you will get a deeper understanding of what Saturn is trying to bring you and teach you in your life, how Saturn's trying to strengthen you and empower you and help you create a legacy for yourself. Hi everyone, my name is Addison Taylor. Welcome to my home, Higher Self Tarot, where I offer pick a card readings, videos on spirituality. I do a bit of astrology, religious stuff as well. So if you're interested in a channel that mixes it up and posts weekly, then go ahead and subscribe. Today's video, we're going to touch on the planet Saturn and I'll give a short overview, what he represents in our chart and what his purpose is. And then we'll get into a pick a card reading where you can choose from 4 different piles and get a very specific and deep message from Saturn and a better understanding of what his purpose is in your life and what he's trying to teach you. Timestamps for everything will be down below in the description box. There are a couple things I want to touch on before we get into the video. First of all, I always leave a link to my sister's Etsy shop. She creates these gorgeous earrings. These are my moon earrings. She has so many different colors. She's very well priced. This collection's actually named after me, but she has so many different earring collections. And she doesn't order these from bulk, from China. She actually purchases the clay. She's very artistic. She bakes the clay, designs it, mixes it, the whole shebang. So very high quality earrings I recommend to you all. So if you're a moon lover like me, grab some from my collection. There's black, white, orange. I don't even know how many colors she has at this point. Second thing I want to touch upon is today's reading. The way I'm going to lay it out is inspired by a fellow tarot YouTuber that I love. So I'm going to give her a shout out. Her name is the Mother of Tarot. If you haven't checked out her channel, I would highly recommend. And in her recent videos, for her pick a card readings, she does this mix up of you can see her face and then she'll pan to images of the cards. And I think that that's really cool. So I'm going to try it out myself. I don't know if my editing skills are quite up to par with hers, but we'll see. So hopefully you guys enjoy getting to really see the images on your cards as I talk you through them. I'm also going to make sure that for some of these cards, I actually read the description from the book that the creator of the cards crafted for us to use. That way you can just get a more profound imagery and messaging. So let's get into short overview of Saturn and what he represents in our chart. So Saturn is a planet that really represents the earthly 3D realm. Saturn is here to help us survive life and to thrive in life and to help us push through obstacles and boundaries and to give us a reality check and to really give us a sober view, a realistic view of life and how we can operate in it. So, with that being said, sometimes Saturn can be associated with more negative energies or more negative, it has a negative connotation or association because Saturn is this disciplinarian. He often represents the father figure in our life or whoever was the most fatherly or authoritative in our life. He represents structure and limitations. Saturn is a realist. Saturn wants to create things that actually have value and meaning in the world. He's not a real artistic sort of planet. He's definitely not like a lovey-dovey sort of energy, but there are other planets for that. God uses all of the planets in a very specific sort of way, and Saturn happens to be that disciplinarian and that energy of pushing through tough times. Ultimately, Saturn wants us to prevail. Saturn doesn't want to destroy us. Saturn wants us to push through. Saturn wants us to conquer, and Saturn wants to come out the other side as a winner. But Saturn also knows that you can't create a winner by spoiling someone or just simply by nurturing them, showering them with love, and giving them everything they want. People who really accomplish amazing things in their life develop that character through their hardships, through what they were able to overcome. And so Saturn truly has the best intentions for us. He wants to make us that strong, powerful person that is able to push through and discipline themselves and be determined and create something in the earthly realm that has a substantial legacy, something that lives on beyond our own lives. And so depending on where Saturn is placed in your chart, it has a very specific sort of message for you, a very specific sort of lesson for you, depending on the house that it's in and on the sign that it's in. But it doesn't stop there, because Saturn moves to different locations, every couple years, every 2 to 3 years, it's in a new sign and it's making new aspects in our chart. But all of these aspects relate back to where our Saturn was when we are born. So all these sort of difficult, harsh lessons that it brings us come back to growing and nurturing and building upon that Saturn that's in our birth chart, where it is, where it's located, and what we're supposed to be learning. And these learning lessons take a lifetime. So I want to go through quickly kind of the different stages of Saturn. That way, before we get into the reading, you can kind of think back on, okay, this is what was going on during these moments in my life. And you'll kind of start piecing a narrative together of kind of why Saturn's in your life and what is it trying to teach you. So the 12 signs of the zodiac can be separated into either a cardinal sign, a fixed sign, or a mutable sign. And you can see the groupings here on this picture. So what you want to determine with your natal chart is, what group does your Saturn fall into? Is it in a fixed sign, a mutable sign, a cardinal sign? Once you determine this, you'll easily be able to know when you are experiencing this heavy Saturn energy of either a square or an opposition or a return. So for example, if your Saturn is in a fixed sign at birth, then for the rest of your life, every time Saturn enters a fixed sign, any one of the 4 above, you will be experiencing a square, an opposition, or a return. And you'll notice on the graph below, when the 4 signs of whichever group are lined up on any natal chart, they form this perfect cross, a 90-degree angled cross. And that is what creates that square energy and that opposition energy in a chart. So here I'm showing you my natal chart, and my Saturn was in Capricorn at birth. And when I experienced my first Saturn square, Saturn was in Aries, which is also a cardinal sign, just like Capricorn. But you can see with Saturn and Aries, if I were to draw a line over to my Saturn at birth, it forms that 90-degree angle. So that's the square. And then as Saturn continues traveling over, the next major point is the opposition. And that's when Saturn is directly across from my natal Saturn. And it's, again, in another cardinal sign, Cancer, because my natal Saturn is in that cardinal sign group. And so then after the opposition, you have another square, the square below my Saturn at birth in the cardinal sign of Libra. And you can see once again, if you draw those lines, forms that perfect 90-degree angle. And then we end at the Saturn return, and that's when Saturn gets back to the place it was when I was born. And everyone, goes through their Saturn return, and all of these Saturn transits around the same ages in life, which we'll get into next. So the first experience you'll have with Saturn is your first Saturn square. And that is when you are between the ages, usually starts around age 7 and then ends at age 9. So that's your Saturn square. So you'll experience a lot of Saturn energy from ages 7 to 9 through your first Saturn square. So 7 to 9 is your first Saturn square. Then you will go through your first Saturn opposition, and that will be at ages 14, starting at 14 and then ending probably around 16 years old. That's when Saturn is now opposite where Saturn was at your birth. So you'll have more of that Saturn energy. Then Saturn's going to go up and around, and then you'll have your second Saturn square, and that will be from the ages of like 21 to about 23 years old. And then finally you get to your first Saturn return, meaning Saturn is finally back where it was when you were born, and that happens from the ages of 28 to 30. So as you look back through these different ages and kind of what you were experiencing through Saturn, it should start to create a bit of a narrative for you. There should be a similar theme kind of going on here, or at least a similar subconscious or psychological theme that Saturn's trying to teach you to push through. And then of course, after your Saturn return at 28 to 30, the cycle starts all over again. So then I think from 35 years old, you go through another square, and then at 42, it's in opposition. And then 49, it's another square, and then it returns again to where it was when you were born from 58 to 60 years old. So this is an ongoing cycle. We don't get out of this cycle, but hopefully if we're handling it correctly, we're becoming stronger and more empowered and better through each Saturn transition, through each square and opposition and return. But it's a tough energy, I will tell you. I think the return energy and the square energy, at least in my life, were probably the toughest for me to go through. So, anyways, kind of take a moment to think back through those ages of your life, and then we will get to the pick a card selection. Make sure you're kind of in a meditative state, okay? Relax your mind. Choose the deck as if you were, pretend like you were sitting down at my table and you have paid for a reading, and I'm saying, okay, you know, I've collected your money or whatever. I don't know why. This helps make it more real for me so that I can always choose the right pile. But you've paid me your money, and now it's time to hand me the pile that I'm supposed to read to you. Which pile contains your reading, your message from Saturn? So let's go ahead and get to the picture, and then I will meet you at your piles. Love you. All right, hi group number one. You all chose the beautiful smoky quartz. Love this stone. This is actually a perfect Saturn stone. Smoky quartz is used for grounding and kind of bringing us back down to earth and rooting us once again. So a very smart, grounded, practical sort of energy. And I pulled from my crystal deck these smoky quartz cards so that I could read you a little bit about it. So it says, who needs it? Glass half empty types and space cadets to bring them back down to earth. When to use it? When you fall prey to emotional vampires, when you're just too spacey and can't even, and when you're embarking on a spiritual journey or a journey to pick up your dry cleaning. Extra points if you're thinking, what's the difference? And at the bottom, the little phrase here says, arm your spiritual warrior. So I rolled the die here, and you all have Libra and the 12th house and the North Node. And then from my sort of regular die, not my astrological die, we got 2 6s. So very strong 6th house and 12th house energy. Perhaps you all have your North or your South Node in either of those houses. And then let's go ahead and read the little rune stone that you all gravitated towards. Okay, so this rune stone signifies defense, a turning point, confrontation, as well as death. So let's start with the tarot cards, and then we'll get into the oracles here. Now, this first tarot card is from a deck that I actually created myself. It's not for sale or anything, but that's why there's lots of typing on it and no imagery. It's supposed to be a very practical sort of tarot deck that anyone can use. So you all have spiritual growth in values, and this is in the upright. It says the ability to make slow and steady progress in a way that will benefit humanity. Analytical and forward-thinking mind. An unpaid volunteer that's passionate about serving others. This card can also signify making a difference in the world one meal at a time, making a difference in the world one donation at a time, a healer, a helper of those less fortunate. And with this card, we have more 12th house energy, which was in the astrological die, as well as Uranus, Virgo, and the 11th house. So I feel strongly that Saturn is definitely here to help you strengthen and solidify your 6th house energy. And again, the North Node could be connected here in some way. The 6th house is all about our service to others, our practical service to others, where the 12th house, which has also come up already quite a bit in your reading, signifies our dissolution of the ego and solitude and isolation, meditation, spiritual retreats. It's kind of a creative flow and opening of the mind that's in the 12th house. But then it seems that Saturn's wanting you to use that ability to put yourself in solitude, to detach from your ego, to tap into the spiritual realms. He wants you to use it for something practical out in the world that makes a difference for others. Now, with the Libra energy coming up here, this could be something about the justice system, law laws, regulations. It could also be about some sort of business, because Libra can signify business partnerships in particular, as well as through marriage. Maybe marriage is a big part of what Saturn is trying to bring you, or very significant, long-lasting, long-term one-on-one relationships, and really having a stability and a balance with others in your life, not just being in complete isolation or not kind of running away when things get really hard and dark and tough and difficult, but being able to stand up and really be there for the people in your life that you've committed to for a lifetime, perhaps. So let's take a look at the rest of the tarot, and then we'll get into our oracles. All right, we have King of Pentacles. That is Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, as well as Eight of Cups, which this signifies Saturn in Pisces, so more 12th house energy. Then we have Seven of Cups, which is Venus and Scorpio, as well as Seven of Pentacles. So we have two sevens here, actually, and Libra, which came up on the die, rules the 7th house, as well as this Eight of Cups and this King of Pentacles. So yeah, Saturn is really, really wanting to help stabilize you. I can see through these cards. It could be specifically in financial security, financial matters, credit building and getting that bank account built up to what it needs to be. But I think it also is through choosing the right relationships. The Smoky Quartz card touched on needing Smoky Quartz when you fall prey to emotional vampires. So I feel like Saturn's also really wanting to solidify and strengthen your relationships, help you choose the right people, perhaps pull you away from people in your life that Saturn knows are no good for you, or jobs in your life that are no good for you. He's wanting to teach you to believe in your own strength and to stand up for yourself when you need it. You are definitely a big dreamer. There's a deep creative energy in your mind. You may have some very significant 12th house or Pisces in your chart, is what I'm feeling, as well as Venus energy. Beautiful, imaginative, idealistic sort of energy going on in the mind. And it seems that Saturn is here to help temper that energy, to balance out that energy, because sometimes I'm seeing that the mind can go way, way far out there to a point that what it's kind of trying to create or what it's dreaming of or thinking of really isn't realistic, really isn't possible. And so in those moments where Saturn has seen you kind of walking off a ledge, so to say, in your own mind and your own idealism, he will cut things out in order to try and bring you back to reality, or he'll try and convince you to move away from, this whatever it is you're trying to go after that's just not realistic. He's also trying to teach you the lesson of long-term gratification versus instant gratification. He really wants you to grow roots in the world in some capacity. It's great that you've got this very compassionate heart, because I see that you have that deeply, to where kind of watching the suffering of others or the injustices of others could really, really hurt you. You may consider yourself an empath of sorts. Saturn's wanting to teach you how to use that energy, that empathic energy, as a strength and not as a weakness. Being able to buck up and kind of push through and use that compassion in a practical way to serve others, versus allowing yourself to drown in it and to become fearful of it, or, for it to become too painful and overwhelming for you to, actually take action on and move towards. So let's look at some of the oracle cards and see what else Saturn wants to say to you through all of this. From my Success Oracles deck, we have Jeff Bezos. For those of you who don't know, he created Amazon. I'm sure you guys know that. Jeff Bezos, it says, a marketplace will find a place in the market. Convenience doesn't come easy. And moral obligations fulfilled by Amazon. So yeah, there is some sort of, I'm actually hearing from Saturn, and this doesn't work this way for all people. You all may have your Saturn in an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or you may have Saturn in a sign that typically rules the earth signs, the earth houses, so like the 2nd house and the 6th house and the 10th house. Saturn actually manifests himself very physically in your life through tangible opportunities or items, or I don't know, I'm just seeing that box that Jeff Bezos is holding, and I'm literally hearing that Saturn hands things to you in order to use. he presents you with opportunities that make you question your own moral character. Is it enough just to feel compassionate and empathetic? Is that enough? Saturn pushes you to actually act on that. Is it enough to just post about it? Saturn brings things into your life that forces you to question this, to question what is truly enough, and to try and get you to take action on these things and these opportunities that he brings you. Convenience doesn't come easy. You guys are great dreamers. You have this beautiful creative mind. So part of Saturn's job here is to teach you that kind of some of the things you've idealized in life, when you look at it, things aren't always as they seem. That person on YouTube that has that beautiful lifestyle, or that celebrity that's so wealthy, or that perfect family that you see at church, or whatever it is, your mind has a tendency to idealize and not question that. And then that you decide that, like, well, that's what I want to go after. But you go after it really believing that in this ideal sort of outcome, when Saturn's here to tell you, like, that's not actually possible. He may expose you to some different secrets or things just to help shake that out of your head, that like this, everyone's got their issues and their problems. Anything worth working for is going to be tough. It's not going to be convenient, but that's the blessing of Saturn. Like, that's the fulfillment Saturn wants to bring to you, is being able to look back and think, wow, I did that, and I pushed through that, and I overcame that, and that was really tough, but I did it anyways. That's where we get our sense of pride from, is kind of pushing through those things. Okay, let's look at our moon card. It says balance spirituality and practicality, full moon in Pisces. So much 12th house Pisces energy from this pile. And that really sums up the reading so well, balancing that spiritualness that you all naturally have with a more practical side. That 12th house versus the 6th house. But I want to read this card for you from the book just to make sure you get the most out of it. So let's flip to this card. Okay, it says, have you been so head in the clouds that you've lost touch with reality? If so, take this card as a sign that you need to pay attention and make a concerted effort to move towards your goals. The more practical steps you can take, the better. It's time to find an inner balance between your responsibilities and your dreams. Meditate on your question, and the solutions to your issue may now come through very clearly. If you're in a tricky situation because you've been acting the martyr, this card will be a message from the cosmos to drop the act for everyone's sake. It says, meditate every day and see what comes to you. Answers will come. And additional meanings for the card are, you're in a super romantic but not super realistic state, which is, that sums up that 7 of Cups energy there. Follow your intuition. It won't let you down. There's that 8 of Cups energy. At worst, this card can herald the end of a dream, the end of idealizing things, overdoing that idealization. It also says avoid substance abuse, and the person you're inquiring about is a soulmate. So those are some additional meanings. Here's the teaching of the card. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So the full moon in Pisces symbolically marks endings. When the moon is full in Pisces, or whenever you pull this card, it's a time to dive deep into your emotions. Practicality is at odds with the numinous Piscean energies that have no borders. So feel your way now. Psychic ability is heightened when the full moon is in Pisces, and soulmates now connect. It's also a time to send out your dreams to the universe, releasing your fears. Beautiful. So yeah, Saturn's really here to help you anchor that creative, that beautiful, creative, idealistic sort of energy that you all have, but it could have a tendency to really overflow. Saturn's trying to help you contain that energy so that it's not only useful, it's also not wasted. But yeah, a lot of 12th house energy here. Let's look at the animal card you all chose. Ooh, the tiger. It says passion and adventure beckon. Now I am going to read the message from this card as well, but this ties in to me perfectly with that 12th house energy. I get a feeling that you guys have a tendency to kind of want to hide away or run away, or maybe be on your own, kind of dreaming in your own head, that's a more peaceful or natural energy for you to be in. It's much more outside of your comfort zone to go out and take a big step, take a big leap, to kind of jump outside of your comfort zone and really do something out in the outside world with other people, because I do feel you guys are very empathic and energy sensitive sort of people. Saturn's here to help you strengthen that energy. But let's read the message on the card from the book. Secure within her own sensuous, controlled power, Tiger stalks silently, invisibly, through the magic of the night, securing what her heart desires. Swimming languidly through ancient lakes, she conjoins with the water's adaptability, mystical energies, and intuitions. As a messenger, Tiger brings you fresh adventures to change your path, new passions to awaken your heart, and endows you with her powers. Take what she offers, and you can transform your life. Beautiful. It was talking about how the tiger was navigating through the energy of the water, which is that creative, idealistic, romantic energy you all have a lot of, but navigating through that in order to actually obtain something that she wants, to turn it into a reality instead of just being in that dream state. And I think this goes for not only your career, your financial security, but also marriage, romantic life, children, all these big things that you want. Saturn doesn't want you to become disheartened when he brings his lessons to you. He doesn't want you to become, to move from a very idealistic state to the opposite end, which is, okay, well, I guess nothing's possible. Everything in the world's horrible. I'm just going to run and hide. That's not what Saturn wants you to do. He wants you to ground yourself a bit, yes, soak in a bit of that reality check, but then start thinking of what you can do with that. Now that Saturn's brought you the reality of the situation, how can you make a plan and actually start walking through that plan, walking through reality? That is the gift he wants to really, really bring you. He's really wanting to bring you a lot. He wants to bring you the dreams that you are after, but he knows that the way that you view them currently isn't going to get you to your dream, isn't going to make it a reality. That fear you have of the world, not being able to contain your own energy very well, or just getting very, very, I can see your heart's very sensitive and it hurts deeply when you've kind of idealized something and you see that it's not quite the way you idealized it. It's not quite what it is. It kind of breaks your heart in a way. And Saturn's wanting to strengthen that within you and really, he wants to make things a reality. What you want, he wants to make it a reality. So everything he does in your life is to try and give you the opportunity to receive that reality check and then push forward. What am I going to do? What am I going to change or alter about my plan? Okay, let's go. I'm doing it anyway. That's kind of what he's wanting to bring. Okay, let's look at our last card here. It says, it is possible to maintain one's individual creative identity and also be in an intimate, committed relationship. Gorgeous. Perfect with that Libra die that pulled up, which is about partnership and one-on-one relationships with others. And you guys have all this beautiful 12th house, isolated, creative sort of energy. And this card, Saturn's just trying to let you know, like, it's possible to have both. It is possible to do it all. Maybe not quite in the way that you've idealized it or imagined it, but it is possible. Let me bring it to you. Don't be discouraged when I bring in these sort of reality checks for you. I'm doing it to make you smarter, to make you more intelligent, to make you feel more empowered to move forward. He doesn't want you to get scared and run away, and hide. Okay, let's read the message on this card from the book. All right, so this card says, the healthy boundaries found in any relationship can be likened to those seen in ballroom dancing. In dancing and any partnership, there are 3 different territories: my dance space, your dance space, and our dance space, the area between us where we come together. To maintain our individual identity and also be in a relationship, it's necessary to be assertive when telling our partner when our personal space is being violated. If we don't know how to say no to someone we love, then we must find it difficult, if not impossible, to form a partnership. Alternately, some people have what I call the Trojan horse archetype. In the beginning of a relationship, they may go along with anything their partner wants to earn love and approval. But once the relationship becomes committed, they begin to open their mouth and assert their identity. This form of bait and switch relationship style ultimately ends in separation or divorce. Intimate relationships help us touch the hand of God by getting us to a place where we can create another form of inspiration. Relationships between 2 people can open up parts of the world that aren't open to an individual. Perfect for that Libra energy, 12th house energy, which you all have a lot of. is a lot about dissolution of boundaries. People with a strong 12th house energy have a very hard time setting boundaries between themselves and others. They find it impossible. And so that's why you see a lot of Pisces or 12th house people keeping themselves in isolation, because to them, that's the only way that they can maintain a boundary. If I just run away from the world, then I won't have to deal with this. It becomes scary, the idea of forming boundaries and being assertive and open with what they want and need in a relationship. And Saturn's here to help make that possible for you, because Libra energy, as much as it's about marriage and one-on-one relationships, it's also about our business and our career life. Libra is about, the client and the company. That's a one-on-one relationship. That's a one-on-one partnership. What does the client want from me? And am I able to provide it? What sort of boundaries need to be set there? How can I, how can I make this relationship fair on both sides? Offer a worthy product to a worthy client, and, vice versa. So Saturn's really here to help strengthen you. And I am getting a strong message from Saturn. He wants you to know that you are meant to live a very dreamlike life with that, perfect white picket fence house, and the money in the bank, and the beautiful healthy children, and the happy marriage, and the happy career. Like, he wants to give all these things to you. The main thing I'm hearing from him is that when he's brought these lessons into your life to help strengthen you so that he can get you closer to your goal, you've had the tendency to take his lessons as a signal that my goals aren't possible, my goals are worthless, I'm not worthy, this is impossible, I should just run away and hide. And that's why he brought you to this reading, because that's the last thing he wants you to take from these lessons he's bringing you. He wants you to really partner with him. He can really be that opposite energy that you need in your life. You have this very watery, romantic, feminine, spiritual, creative energy, and Saturn can really be that amazing life partner for you, that balance, because he's about the rootedness and the practicality. He wants to help strengthen you, and he wants to partner up with you. So, yeah, beautiful message from Saturn. You guys have a lot of blessings coming to you as you learn to navigate through Saturn's lessons and his energy for you. This is a very positive, I'm seeing positive, bright futures for those of you who picked this pile. Just believe in it. Just believe in it, okay? So comment below. Let me know what resonated and how you've experienced Saturn in your life up to this point. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Feel free to share this video with someone that you think would find it useful, maybe someone going through their Saturn return currently or a Saturn square. And yeah, leave me a like. And again, if you're new here, I would encourage you to subscribe as well. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Love you, love you. Bye. Hi Pile 2, and welcome to your reading. You all chose the beautiful rose quartz, often used for love and compassion and the heart chakra. And I pulled a card from you from my crystals deck that represents the rose quartz. So let me read this for you. It says, rose quartz, who needs it? The overly self-critical, sentient spiritual beings who love deeply, those in the healing arts or those who want to be. When to use it? When you feel like you always have to be the one to have it all figured out, to work the hardest, to hold it all together for everyone else. Rose quartz gives us a pink cashmere covered platform to be soft, sweet, and open to spirit. And on the little phrase at the bottom of the card, it says, take care of your heart. So beautiful, beautiful stone, one of my favorites. Let's take a look at the rune that you all chose. And the meaning here says, adversity, conflicts, gateway. And then the die that came out for you was the South Node in Taurus in the 9th house, as well as the 6th house and the 1st house. So these could all be placements where your Saturn is, but the 9th and the 6th and the 1st are all about well, the 1st house is about ourself and our identity, which I think the rose quartz touched a lot upon. And the 6th house is about our responsibilities in our life and our service to others, as well as being able to heal others. And 9th house is about religion, spirituality, and just overall what our meaning of life is to us. What is truly the meaning of life? And then, of course, the South Node represents things we've accumulated in our past lives, good karma, bad karma, talents, different things that we've learned, and usually represents kind of our comfort zone where we feel most comfortable. And then Taurus represents, our stability and our money and our finance, doing things in a very slow and steady way. So all of these could be topics that Saturn wants to touch upon with you, and what specifically the lesson is that he's trying to bring into your life. One very clear message I'm getting right now is divine feminine and your own inner femininity. A lot of you may have a very hard time tapping into your feminine side, or it may be something that feels uncomfortable to you. You may have been taught from an early age to really express the more masculine side to yourself, but it feels like a toxic masculinity where maybe the masculine roles in your life showed you masculinity in a more negative, like a lower vibrational sort of way, but your subconscious only had that to download and pick up on. And the male figures in your life, or perhaps it were things you were seeing on society or through bosses and teachers, grandparents, whatever it is, had a distaste for femininity and feminine energy, for weakness, for softness, for vulnerability. These were all things that were not taught to you. And Saturn, although it's depicted as a masculine planet in the sense that we usually refer to Saturn as a he, and it's this sort of tough, it's depicted as a masculine energy, but what a lot of people don't realize is Capricorn, which is the sign that Saturn traditionally rules, is a feminine sign. So it is about being able to push through life and adapt through life and establish a legacy, but it's a feminine receptive energy. And so I feel like Saturn is actually here to help show you your softer side, your feminine side, and to help you gain strength through that feminine energy, because not until your masculine and feminine energy are in balance will you be able to create something. When we think about the creation of life, for example, a baby, it takes that masculine energy and the female energy in order to create that child. Does that make sense? And so Saturn's trying to kind of do the same thing with you. Until you marry both sides of yourself, you can't really create a new life or create something new or establish a legacy. So, okay, let's look at the first tarot card here, which is from a tarot deck I created. Okay, it says a beginning in values, and this is reversed. This is traditionally depicted as the Ace of Cups in like a regular tarot deck. So reversed, it says no opportunity, no breakthrough, a delay, stoppage, an offer or an opportunity not given or provided, needing vitamins or to work on the health, as well as loss of money. We have first house energy here, which came up in the die, as well as Pluto in Capricorn and houses 1, 8, and 10. So yeah, this is something it seems like Saturn may have a tendency to destroy certain elements of your life or certain things in your life because he's wanting you to actually grieve that energy. Whereas you have been taught to not grieve anything, but when something's taken or destroyed, just kind of act like nothing happened and just keep pushing forward. That's a very sort of masculine energy. Saturn has a tendency to work with Pluto perhaps and bring some sort of destruction into your life, to rip things away, because he's trying to get you to actually tap into your emotions, to actually feel that energy, to actually grieve, to actually cry it out, to actually, allow yourself to kind of feel like you are crumbling, and to like get in touch with those emotions, because there is deep, deep power in that feminine energy. There's deep power in that darkness and in the darkness of your emotions. Some of you may have recently been interested or pulled towards witchcraft, and that is because witchcraft is a very feminine, dark energy, and it's something that you are meant to learn to tap into in this lifetime. It doesn't necessarily have to be witchcraft or spells. There's many different ways that we can express or tap into this darker feminine energy, but for some of you that kind of had an interest or an inkling to move towards that, this is why. At a soul level, and the lesson Saturn's trying to teach you, he's wanting to teach you the power of your femininity, the potency of it, to stop brushing it aside, to feel into those emotions, to allow yourself to feel, so that way through those feelings, through those emotions, you can create something new. You can move in a new direction. You can listen to your intuition and take it as a sign to do this, that, or the other. I hope that makes sense, but let's look at some of the other tarot cards here, and then we'll read the oracles. Okay, we have Queen of Swords. This is air energy, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Ooh, then we have King of Swords, more air energy, but the masculine version of that. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius once again. Then we have the Ten of Cups. This is Mars and Pisces. And then we have Two of Wands. This is Mars and Aries. Okay, yeah, so once again, I'm seeing in the tarot cards this depiction of masculine and feminine energies. For you all, there's this strong air energy, possibly in your chart or at a soul level, maybe in your draconic chart. So naturally, there is a lack of emotion, or you may find it very easy to detach from emotion. But Saturn's wanting you to balance out both sides of that energy, because even in air energy, there's a feminine representation of that and there's a masculine. And in order to move forward, you've got to use both. Even in the Two of Wands represents someone thinking and planning for their future, looking through all of their options, but with both sides in mind. That's what the Two Wands represent, that feminine side and that masculine side, and having both of those in mind for the future and for their planning. And you are meant with that Ten of Cups, this is showing me that Saturn really wants you to have a life that is deeply emotional and deeply emotionally fulfilling. But it almost feels like you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. So Saturn's lessons may have brought you a darker emotional energy. And once you participate in that darker emotional energy, whether it be finally deciding to go to therapy or crying it out or opening up about your past, once you decide to dive into that darker emotional energy, that's when you get out to the other side, which is that lighter, happier, emotional energy that Saturn is trying to bring you. So yeah, your Saturn is very much centered around your day-to-day life, your household, your relationships, not only with others, but to your own self, your relationship to yourself, and getting out of your comfort zone, which your comfort zone is about that emotional detachment and that masculine energy, and walking towards something deeper and darker and more mystical and with more emotion and vulnerability, and ultimately shifting your perspective on life through all of this is meant to shift. Perhaps your spiritual views, your religious views, your value system with that, Taurus die. Taurus talks a lot about our value system. All of this is really meant to shift, and you're supposed to become more stable through all of this. You've clung to that masculine energy because that represents stability to you, but anything out of balance is unstable. And so Saturn's trying to help stabilize you, to get you to grasp onto that feminine side as well and stabilize yourself so that you can move forward. Okay, let's look at some of the other cards here. Okay, from the moon deck, we have the energy is gaining momentum, waxing moon. And I'm going to read this card definition from you from the actual book that was created for it, and then we will discuss. Okay, it says, during the waxing moon cycle, hope springs eternal. This card is a very positive omen, indicating that you can create the reality you're dreaming of, though it will take some work and you're not quite there yet. This is a time of energies rising up. Emotions are building too. Where do you want to go, and do you believe you can get there? Either you can just keep meditating and focusing on your desired outcome, or you can make the courageous commitment to take more practical steps toward your goals. Whichever you decide, you are most certainly on the right track. Additional meanings for this card are: the situation is full of potential, your dream can come true, more effort is yet required, are you willing to give it? Review your goals and ensure you're still committed. Keep moving forwards. The teaching of this card says, the waxing cycle is the period of the lunar cycle from the new moon to the full moon. And during this time, the moon appears to be slightly bigger and rounder every night. This is a very empowered and empowering time, and this is a very promising card. It suggests now is the time to make plans and to act on them, no matter when you actually pull the card. So an additional message I'm getting from that moon card is that your goals are meant to shift through Saturn's lessons. The goals that you have are going to shift. The values that you have are going to shift, because Saturn's working to shift your overall meaning to life. What is actually important versus what is not. What is worth something and what needs to be discarded. And it starts with tapping into that feminine energy. So I see a huge shift in your goals through Saturn's lessons, each time he brings you a lesson, it's shifting a new goal, it's giving you a new perspective, it's shifting your values as well. And then your plans are meant to change accordingly. Now I know that this isn't important and this is. So what can I do to work towards what's important and discard these other things? And that's kind of what Saturn's bringing you. Whereas for most of your life, especially in your earlier years, the tendency may have been that only these sort of masculine type things have value, like working up the corporate ladder, becoming that boss, gaining that money, like all these sort of masculine things may have been what held value, while you discarded the emotional element. Is it fulfilling? Does it make me happy at the end of the day? What makes me smile? What sparks a passion inside of me? Those things have been pushed away because it's like, well, that's not important. Those are silly nonsense things. Those are for weak emotional people. I've got to focus on, what's important for the strong masculine sorts of people, or because of what society tells me is important. So Saturn's trying to give you a brand new beginning through maybe taking away some of these things that you value that Saturn's like, no, that's not fulfilling you. Let me take that away so that hopefully I can get you to shift your perspective and your value. You may have been fired. You may have been passed up for a promotion. Who knows? It feels like he gives you new beginnings through maybe ripping something away, and hoping that you will grieve that and question that and take that new opportunity for a fresh start and to do things differently next time. Instead of going in this direction, which seems to lead me towards a dead end every single time, maybe I need to take this other road instead. Maybe that's where my opportunities and my happiness and my fulfillment are. So getting out of that comfort zone. Okay, let's look at the animal card. Beautiful. You all have the deer. It says, take note of the messages in whispers and secrets adrift on the breeze. Let's take a look at the book definition for this card. Okay, this card says, hind, gentle, alert, every sense keen, stands motionless amongst the leafy trees. Like deer, be acutely aware now of what drifts to you on the breeze. A snippet of conversation, even the fresh spice of cologne, may hold secrets untold. Deer protects herself by gathering peacefully with others, and counsels that you now seek to be part of a bigger whole. If estranged from family or friends, Deer advises that the sagacious ask for forgiveness and forgive in turn, fostering mutual love and the regeneration that this brings. So several different messages I'm getting from that card. First of all, is strengthening your intuition and listening to it. Intuition is a very feminine energy. It's a feminine trait because it's connected to our emotional system, which is our femininity, that water energy that we have. And so Saturn's trying to teach you to step into a more intuitive state and not live solely in that very logical state that comes naturally to you, to start using your intuition. Talk to your body. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling fulfilled? And if you're in situations where you're not, listening to that intuitive instinct, that gut instinct that's like, no, this doesn't feel good. It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. So I've got to move away from this. And then with that forgiveness energy, this air energy you all operate in, and the sixth house came up here, even what the rose quartz card touched upon. You have a very critical nature at your worst. At your worst, your lowest vibrational energy form is this deep, dark inner critic that is not relenting, that will not give up, that will not let you breathe, that wants you to be completely perfect, whatever your definition of perfect is, and won't accept anything less. For most of you, I think this came from the household you were brought up in. It taught you to have this very critical nature, that this is how the world is. If you don't live up to perfection, you are worthless. And I feel like you all need to forgive yourself, but also reflect back on your past and try and figure out where you got this idea from. How was this planted into your subconscious that perfection is the only thing worth anything? That you have to be perfect, that you have to be 100% logical at all times, that you have to detach from your emotions. And forgiving that person, whoever it was that kind of showed that to you or taught that to you, but then also forgiving yourself for all these things you've been holding against yourself, for all of your imperfections. Being able to really forgive yourself and be okay with your humanness. Be okay that, you know what? It didn't turn out the way I wanted. I do wish I would have handled that better, but you know what? It's okay. I'm forgiving you. You really need to have this inner forgiveness and this vulnerability with yourself as well. Okay, let's look at my success oracle card. We have Michael Jordan. It says, reach for that highest vertical jump. Metaphorically is fine. Trademark your trademarks and make it an old habit to try something new. That goes really well with that South Node energy. Try something new. Break away from everything you were taught, everything you were told. Break away from everything you saw and witnessed, all that toxic energy. Break away from it. Shift your value and your perspective on that. Do something new. Do something different from the family you were brought up in. Operate in a different way. Be okay with that emotional vulnerability and allow it to navigate you in life, to move forward in life. This is what Saturn wants to teach you. Saturn may have brought you you all may have your Saturn in an air sign or in a house that's typically ruled by an air sign, like the 11th house, the 3rd house, or the 7th house. And I feel like there may have been some difficult lessons with authority figures like teachers or parents who were quite unemotional or emotionally detached, who lived in a highly logical sort of state. And I think that you suffered as a child because of that. And then you adapted to them. You learned, go along to get along. I've got to become like this to survive. When Saturn was really wanting to bring you into contact with that negative, super logical, super masculine, super detached energy so that you could see the negative form of that energy and choose to embody the opposite. Saturn really wants to make you a more authentic person. And the only way to step into your authenticity is to first know what you are and what you aren't. So I do feel like you have lived life in a bit of confusion in trying to figure out, well, am I them? What am I? Is this how I need to be? Is that who I need to be? Who are they? Which is why we see this first house energy coming up in the die and in that initial tarot card. Saturn he brought you some lessons that put you in a state of confusion, because ultimately his goal is to bring you into authenticity, the most authentic version of you. And you can only be authentic when you are willing to accept all aspects of yourself, all of your imperfections, all of your flaws, all of your vulnerability, all of your emotions. And so each time Saturn is squaring or opposing or returning in your chart, these are the themes he's bringing up. He really wants to make you a very emotionally happy person, someone who is mentally at peace with themselves, who's very emotionally fulfilled. So he's hoping that you'll kind of take his hand and go on this journey with him, trust him through this journey. Because through him, he looks very different in your pile than he did for the first, because I'm seeing a deep sense of emotional comfort that he's wanting you to find within yourself. Not so much the critical disciplinarian, but more of the strength and how we're able to be more resilient and push through when we are in touch with our emotions, when we let our emotions be a guide to us. That's what he's wanting to teach you, because you've got the logical side down. You don't need Saturn there for any of that. You got that down. He's here to help you tap into that other side, that more feminine side. Okay, let's look at our last card. It says, I now observe my life from a broad, objective perspective so I can give birth to healthier relationship and career situations. That's crazy. That sums up the whole freaking reading. First of all, that broad, objective perspective, that's the 9th house energy that came up in the die. That's all about that broader perspective on life, being able to pull ourselves out of the details and see the big picture. And yeah, that's exactly what Saturn's wanting you to do. It's almost like he brought you some really unhealthy things in childhood in order to get you to step back and look at that broader perspective and choose to do the opposite of them. These were learning lessons of this is how I should not be. This is how I should not operate. And Saturn brought you all these different examples so that you could take that as a lesson of what not to be, so that you could get a deeper reflection on who you are and then move towards that. But there is a book description of this card that I want to read to you. So let's flip to that. Okay, this says, when a child doesn't get what he wants, he angrily screams, "No fair." From a very early age, we seem to have an assumption that the invisible powers of justice in the universe should help us always get what we think we want. However, we don't always have the broad universal perspective to know what's best for our emotional and spiritual development. If events in our lives don't turn out the way we expect, then we're destined to be at least temporarily disappointed. However, if we don't get over our letdowns, our health is likely to suffer. The sadness and disappointment turn into depression, heart disease, cancer, and other forms of immune system dysfunction. So how do we snap out of it and set aside the frustration and despair? Like swimming against a riptide at the beach, Struggling against accepting our present reality only makes us feel worse and dissipates the energy we need to improve our circumstances. Rather than struggling with the present situation, it's better to go above it and get a better perspective about what we need to do next. So yeah, all of these sort of emotional things I've been touching on throughout this reading that Saturn's trying to bring to you, that may have brought on depression or mental illness or physical illness in your life. We do have sixth house energy here, and we do have Taurus, and Taurus often talks about the body. And Saturn's bringing you those things in the hopes that it will wake you up, get you to listen to the fact that something's off because I don't feel good, I don't feel happy. And yeah, he's using that as a tool to get you to wake up to your emotions, wake up to your intuition, and move forward. You guys have the potential, once you tap into this emotional energy, to be very good psychics. And you don't even have to use this psychic energy for tarot reading or anything like that. But you could literally use this psychic ability, this third eye intuitive ability, to make smart decisions for yourself, to understand where you're supposed to go, to be able to see the big picture, to really know what your soul purpose is. But acceptance has to happen here. Acceptance of that past, acceptance of all these, the unhealthy subconscious downloads that maybe your childhood brought you or your family life or relationships brought you, to accept that it is what it is. But how was I meant to, why was Saturn bringing this into my life? He brought it to me for a purpose. Saturn always has a purpose. And so being able to look at it through that lens and see the purpose behind it, so that way you can move towards your emotional fulfillment, which is ultimately what Saturn wants to bring you. That comfort, that love, and that emotional fulfillment, which ultimately will stabilize you and stabilize your health, mental and physical, as well as emotional. So beautiful in-depth reading. Comment below. Let me know how you resonated, what kind of childhood you had, how this all applies, maybe where Saturn actually is in your chart. I would love to know and get a conversation started down there. But thank you so much for coming to this reading. Don't forget to share it with someone that you think could be in need of a reading like this and an understanding their Saturn. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all next time. Love you. Hi Pile 3, and welcome to your reading. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable and let's take a look at your cards. I first want to show you the beautiful rock that you all chose. I call this Fool's Gold. That's kind of the common name, but it's actually known as pyrite, and I picked a card from my crystal deck that represents this stone. So let me read this to you. It says, who needs it? The chronically lethargic and anybody sleeping on their potential. When to use it? On that romantic weekend getaway from the kids, and whenever the energy to power through feels shrouded in dark matter. And at the bottom, the phrase on the card says, call on your core power. All very Saturnian sort of concepts that it touched upon here. And let's go ahead and read the rune stone you all chose. Okay, this rune stone means fertility, new beginnings, and initiation, which the pyrite card talked about, that initiative sort of energy. Now, from the astrological die and the die, we have North Node in the 4th house in Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn, so very fitting. And then the die that came out both rolled on 3. So 3-3, which makes me think of 3rd house energy. So we have 3rd house energy here, 4th house energy here, Capricorn's coming through. And you know what's crazy? So far on all of the piles, and you all are number 3, the nodes have come up. It's been either north or south node that's come up, none of the other planets, which is quite interesting because, north and south nodes are about our soul purpose and our inner fulfillment. So Saturn is working with you all to help bring you a deeper sense of inner fulfillment and soul purpose. 4th house is about our home and our family, our roots and our ancestry, our private life. And 3rd house is about, siblings and our communication and our neighborhood and the local community that we are a part of. So these are all things that Saturn may be working to help you with in this lifetime. So let's look at the first tarot card. This is from a tarot deck that I created. So it says stage 9 of feelings. This is the 9 of cups in the typical tarot deck. It is upright. And it says here, you get your wish, a wish come true. Joy, elation, fulfillment, gladness, your cup runneth over. The wish card, boasting with pride, boastful even to the point of being smug about it, showing off what you got, feeling incredibly lucky. And this has Pisces energy as well as Jupiter and the 11th house. So sounds like Saturn's really here to help you fulfill your deepest wishes and desires, to like go for that big dream or that big goal, whatever it is, but actually bring it into reality. So through Saturn's lessons, he may have brought you a lot of darkness, as Saturn tends to do. And perhaps that darkness has discouraged you instead of encouraged you. And Saturn brought you here to help encourage you once again, and to let you know that he doesn't want you living in that darkness forever. He wants you to come back into the light and to take action on those goals and those dreams, and to, you know, gather up your strength and that core energy within you, and push through. But let's get into the rest of the tarot cards and see how he wants to expand on this message. Okay, we have Page of Cups, that's water energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, as well as Page of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Then we have Five of Wands. This is actually a card that means Saturn in Leo. And then we have Five of Cups. And this is Mars and Scorpio, I believe. Mars and Scorpio. So 2 fives here. Fives are all about loss and like a big change, drastic change, which usually never feels good, always feels uncomfortable. And it looks like with 2 different pages coming up, pages are about being very open-minded and receptive, gathering new information and new insights, being comfortable knowing that they don't have it all figured out, and just wanting to know more. So Saturn's really asking that you kind of keep yourself in this kind of childlike, younger sort of energy and mindset. That's going to be very important with the lessons he's meant to bring you. He actually doesn't ever want you to get at a stage in life where you feel like you know it all and where you feel like you hold the truth and have all the answers. You're meant to kind of always be in this very open and receptive energy, because that open, receptive energy is adaptable to change, which is another big part of what Saturn's here to bring into your life. Change. Fives represent change, and we have 2 fives that came out. So Saturn's saying, look, you'll be able to navigate this change and adapt to it much better if you keep this open-minded sort of energy and reflection, this curious mind. He wants you to always remain curious, because that's going to keep you pushing through to the next level. So through your life, Saturn may have brought you a lot of instances where you felt overlooked, like you weren't admired, or where people seemed to not think you were special. You know, it's hard to get the attention that you needed, as well as losses where you may have been kind of grieving and sad over people that have left you, or people who just didn't seem to think much of you, and where you had invested a lot emotionally in them. You didn't get that in return. And so there's been a lot of grieving, I think, in your life as well. And Saturn wants to acknowledge that. It could have been through relationships with siblings, or through high school bullying, maybe people that peers in high school, as well as perhaps through your own father, your relationship with your own father, or your parenting unit as a whole. And yeah, Saturn's he's wanting to bring you a lot of change, but this change is ultimately going to lead you to exactly what you've always wanted, exactly what you've always been after, those big, big dreams that you've had. But he's telling me that you've got to buckle up for the changes, because where some people's map to success may be like this straight sort of line, yours is very zigzaggy. It's got fives all over it. Change here and then move that way here. But it's a perfect plan that Saturn has in mind for you. But you have to keep that lighthearted, childlike sort of energy to navigate through it and get to the end. And Saturn wants to do that with you. He truly wants to bring you your biggest dreams and wishes fulfilled and into reality, but he needs you on board. He needs you energetically on board for this. Okay, let's look at some of the other cards. Wow, we have a new moon eclipse. It says, expect powerful change. So again, the word change coming up. We've got 2 fives and then change, as well as that North Node, which is about moving far away from the past and into the future. Let's take a look at the book meaning for this card. All right, this card says, if you want affirmation that you can achieve your dreams and get the desired outcome in the situation you're asking about, then this is it. This is a card of beginnings, and there are powerful energies at work. But be prepared. It could be quite a ride, and events now could even be jarring and uncomfortable. However, any new directions you take will almost always lead somewhere better than where you are at the moment. Whatever is happening now is happening for a reason, and you'll appreciate later on. A new portal is opening up, and all you have to do is have the courage to forget about the past and move through it. You're being put back on the right path. There is nothing to fear. Additional meanings for this card. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. You're being shunted towards your life purpose. Whatever is happening now is happening for your highest good, and this is an important turning point in your life. The teaching on this card says, new moon eclipses are among the most exciting astrological events. They herald a complete change of pace. It's as though you're headed in one direction, probably being guided by your ego, and then here comes the divine, the goddess or spirit, to turn you instead to face the direction you actually need to go. Regardless of whether or not there's a new moon eclipse happening when you pull this card, it's a powerful affirmation of positive turnarounds. Wow, so much confirmation from that card about change, about the North Node moving towards the future and away from the past, and not staying too long in a grieving state over whatever Saturn's doing in your life, but trusting and believing with that childlike energy of the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands, that Saturn has your back, that Saturn is the adult leading you into your future, keeping that open mind and that trust with Saturn and its lessons. For some of you, there may be a big call in your life to actually move far away from the home you were born into, or far away from the industry that maybe your parents had groomed you for, and move into new horizons, foreign lands, new towns, like towns that that really connect to your energy, people that really connect to you, instead of trying to force yourself to fit in where you know you're never going to get that recognition that you want. Actually going out and finding the place that's for you, the company that's for you, the people that are for you, finding your group of people, and finding, your place in the world, where you fit in, where you get that joy, where you get that lucky break, where your wish comes true. Saturn's trying to lead you there, but you have to be willing to let go of what doesn't serve you. And I do feel that for a lot of you that chose this pile, the community that you're in, the people that you surround yourself with are places, people, and things that are never going to fulfill you. They're never going to recognize your uniqueness, your special spark, but there are millions out there who do. So it's time to give up on those things and move towards the light, move towards the place Saturn's leading you to, towards your glory, towards your greatness out in the world, because he has some really powerful things planned for you. So Saturn really wants to teach you the lesson of trusting in the universe. That's the biggest lesson Saturn's bringing into your life. Trusting in the universe, trusting in the universal authority, the authority figures of the universe, God, spirit, the divine, the planetary energies, all of that. And keeping that childlike perspective that I'm not the one in control, because I'm not the one that needs to be in control. I've just got to be open-minded to where my spiritual parents are leading me to. Okay. And there may have been some tough lessons growing up at home based on your parental figures, the parental authority in your household, that led you to either not trust in the universe based on what you experienced at home, and that to you kind of proving that the universe doesn't really have your back, or you wouldn't have gone through that. It could have also led you to not trust in yourself, to allow yourself to be guided towards new and better things, not trusting in yourself in your view of yourself, that you are a worthy, desirable person, worthy of attention and affirmation, allowing other people's perspectives of you, maybe what your parents thought of you or your high school friends thought of you, to validate that you aren't worth anything and that you aren't special and you aren't unique and there's no purpose in dreaming big because you're never going to get it. Both of those things Saturn wants to eliminate. He put you through those things to strengthen your adaptability, to increase your open-mindedness, your curiosity about the world, and to get you ready for a life that's meant for a lot of change, a lot of big changes. He had to prepare you for that. So let's look at the animal card you all chose. Okay, we have the badger. It says, abandon compromise and fight valiantly for what you believe in. That goes so well with the 5 of Wands card that came up, because 5 of Wands is about fighting for your perspective to be heard, fighting for what you believe to be true, going at it and not being scared to be assertive. But let's open up the book and read the broader meaning of this card. Bold badger, Her distinctive stripes, a badge of courage, fears none. Throw trepidation and fear aside. Like Badger, abandon compromise and the disassembling that leads to defeat. Take a firm, unwavering stand and speak your mind, regardless of others' opinions. Fight valiantly, openly, and aggressively for what you believe in or risk losing it forever. Remember, however, that play is important too. As a cub, it honed Badger's awesome skills. As an adult, it assures her continued prowess, as it will yours. So yeah, I definitely feel that in your community and your upbringing, whatever was going on, taught you that your voice didn't really matter, taught you that you weren't able to learn, that you weren't intelligent, you weren't smart, you didn't hold the truth, you didn't hold power, that it wasn't worth anyone's time to stop and listen to you. And Saturn's here to tell you that that absolutely isn't true. And he brought you those sorts of lessons to strengthen you, to give you an urge to fight for what you believe in, to give you an urge to strengthen your skills, to deepen your curiosity, to learn even more, to dive into the depths of learning, and then to give you the courage and assertiveness to go out and seek where you are valued. Seek it, find it, trust in the universe to lead you there, because you do have something important to say. A lot of you are meant to have channels of your own or a strong social media platform, or write books or music or poetry, or get into politics in some way, or even become a teacher to others. Maybe become an actual professor or a high school teacher, something like that. This energy is all over here, and you've got to believe in your importance. You've got to believe that the universe cares enough about you to watch over you, to bring you very specific lessons that are for your growth, and to not take on the negative belief that you don't matter, that the universe doesn't care about you, and to not wallow in that grief and that pain from the past, from the rejection, from the hurt. Okay? You're meant to get stronger and stronger. And it feels like you're really at the beginning stages of all of this. You're at the beginning stages of this. I'm feeling Saturn kind of talking to you as like this younger energy. So you're at a very crucial beginning stage to a journey Saturn's wanting to take you on, one of change, and one that will ultimately make you brave and courageous and make you feel worthy of attention and glory. You know, your ego really, Saturn wants to help rebuild your ego, to give you a healthy ego, because I feel that it's been broken down through your childhood, through your high school and elementary school years, through all of that. But Saturn's here to help strengthen you. He wants to be that wise sage, that wise teacher, that wise, kind, strong authority figure that can lead you into becoming this for yourself eventually. Okay, let's look at the Success Oracle card you all chose. Karl Marx. He's into politics, so that makes sense with that third house energy that is coming up through the cards. It says, cut class. Test your theory on human subjects and be the posthumous life of every party. Yeah, so Karl Marx, I'm pretty sure he was a communist. But what I'm getting from that card is that message that, you know, everyone is equal. Everyone's thoughts and ideas are equal. We are essentially all students of life. So therefore, no one is better than or less than others. And I think that Saturn brought you people and situations and circumstances in your life that would tell you the opposite, in order to strengthen your own belief that that is absolutely not true. Saturn never wanted you to buy into the belief that, yeah, those people are more important or better or more special, and I'm just over here, just nothing. No, Saturn wanted you to realize, you know, hey, we're all equal. We're all just here learning. No one's perfect. No one's better than or less than. So let's cut the crap. And I want my voice to be heard just as much as you want yours to be heard. So let's make this equal. And no longer being willing to participate in relationships where you aren't equalized, where you aren't treated equally. Being willing to stand up for yourself and say, no, that's not going to cut it. There seems to be a strong connection with friendships here, friendship groups and friendships, and the communities you find yourself in, coworkers, people who are peers to you. This seems to be where Saturn's really wanting to shift things in your life. I'm not getting so much children or parenting or marriage life like I did with some of the other piles. This feels more about, you know, social media, friendship circles, social media groups, your friendship groups, the friends that you have in your life, even siblings, those are considered peers, where you are finally coming to the realization that you deserve to be treated equally. And you're going to start by treating yourself equally. treating yourself equally, finding the place in the world where you belong, where your voice matters, where you are treated with respect. And then through that confidence you're going to create by planting yourself, rooting yourself in the right environment, you have a lot to say. Saturn's here to help us create a legacy in our lives. And Saturn's wanting to create a legacy with you through communication, words, teachings, books, poetry, music, college, institutions, politics, something with your voice, your mind and your voice and your words. Saturn's like, you have everything that I need in order to help you create this legacy. Let's build this together. Let's do this. Believe in yourself. Rebuild that ego. Regain that confidence. Believe that you are equal to everyone and everything else. And we can do big, big things. So very exciting energy. Comment below like what you all do for a living, or what this, how it pertains to kind of the things I've listed with Saturn. I'd be very curious to know. Okay, let's look at your last card. It says, true wisdom is maintaining a balance between pushing and holding back, balancing detailed perfection with allowing some imperfection. That sounds very much like the page energy I was talking about, where you go through life with a constant open mind, a constant curiosity, always being willing to kind of shift things around or give or take, and always being curious to learn more. But let's open up the book and read the larger description of this card. Okay, it says, if we feel inept and inadequate when challenged, our low self-esteem is likely to hold us back in our career. If we struggle with never feeling good enough, we have to determine who sets the standard for an adequate level of performance. When we were young, we may have been told that we were no good, worthless, or stupid, and we may have internalized these put-downs into the judgment areas of our own brain. Later in life, if challenged, this critical mindset makes its appearance. If we're applying for a job, thinking of taking a college course, or taking a test, we'll hear in our head the mantra, no matter what I do, it's never good enough, or some other paralyzing, self-defeating thought. On the other hand, if we're constantly measuring our self-worth by other people's comments, our self-esteem is going to be as unstable as the weather in New England. No one can excel at everything unless it's in their area of expertise. If we fail in some areas, we're not failures, we're human. These final cards have so perfectly summed up the entire reading for each pile. So I hope everyone stayed to listen to their last card, because that really sums up everything. Saturn wants to help build up your confidence, and he wants to use you to help build up other people's confidence as well. So by walking you through a breakdown of the ego and a breakdown of the confidence, and then rebuilding those things, rebuilding that self-esteem, only through walking through it on your own are you able to teach and show others. Are you able to instill that sense of confidence in others, because you know what it feels like to be unheard and to feel overlooked and to be broken. And so Saturn knew that you were the perfect specimen for this sort of life lesson, for this sort of internal soul growth. And he intends to use you to heal a lot of people in the world, to uplift a lot of people out there, to put smiles on people's faces, to make people feel touched and seen and heard for maybe the first time in their lives. So whatever you all choose to do in your career, it's going to be greatly important in healing the collective and healing the confidence of the collective at large. And that's a huge task. And that's what Saturn has tasked you with, essentially. So don't be afraid to pick yourself back up, to maybe be the only person in your own life for right now to boost your confidence, to stroke your ego. If you are the only one that can give that to yourself, force yourself to do it. There's no need to get it from other people. Sit in those moments of prayer, develop that connection, that spiritual connection with God or whatever it is you believe in, and get your fulfillment and your confidence through that until you can finally make these important decisions and changes in your life to move, to find that community or that town, that place to call home, or develop it online through an online community of some sort. But honestly, I have no doubt that I even need to really drill this into your head, because I see clearly you guys are going to do this. And through each Saturn square, opposition, and return, you guys are going to pick yourself up and you're going to get to the next step every single time. I truly have no doubt in that, okay? And I don't want you guys to doubt that either, because I see a clear path to success for you all. and I'm not worried in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so right now is the time to get excited about that and to believe in yourself, to dream big and to make those power moves, make those money moves, because Saturn's got your back. And trust that any sort of Saturn lesson that's brought to you, it's for a purpose. And that purpose is not just to make you feel like crap, okay? There is a bigger purpose behind it. If you can tap into that energy when you're going through these things, you're going to get to the end of your journey even quicker. You're going to get to that goal even quicker, okay? But so just be gentle with yourself, have some love and compassion for yourself, and know, truly know that you are insanely unique and incredibly special. And for people who aren't able to see that, who don't recognize that in you, it's because those people aren't able to recognize it in their own selves, okay? Those people have a broken self-esteem. Those people have confidence issues. Those people have gone through their own pain or whatever it is, okay? So that's why they can't see it. They can't even see it in their own selves. So that's why they can't give it out to others as freely as you're going to be able to do for people. Very, very important task, very important job. Definitely check out a pick a card reading on life purpose, okay, if you're feeling lost or wondering where this all leads, because there's something grand for you guys, something you're meant to communicate to the world, all right? Okay, I love you so much, and thank you for coming to this reading. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you can, and feel free to share this video with someone that you think may be in need of this, maybe someone going through their Saturn return, having a hard time. I would really appreciate that. And if you're new here, I would love it if you subscribed before you checked out. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next reading. Love you guys. All right, hello, group number 4, and welcome to your reading, the last and final group. I'm really excited to get into this with you, see what message Saturn has for you, what he's trying to teach you in your life through his transits. So you all chose the amethyst stone, another one of my favorites, great for spiritual work and spirituality. And so I pulled the amethyst card from my crystal deck so I could read this to you. So let's start with that. It says, who needs it? Train wrecks who go off the rails on the wet and wild route to Bacchanalia. I don't know where that is. And also any Pisces. When to use it? When it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with purpose, hold on tight to amethyst. And the phrase at the bottom of the card says, get drunk on your highest self. So amethyst is a very spiritual energy, very much associated with Pisces, which is about psychic abilities, intuition, spirituality. But on the negative end, it's also associated with addiction and psychedelics and kind of drug use, or really anything that can transport us out of our bodies. You know, Pisces energy doesn't really feel comfortable in a human body. So some of you who picked this pile may associate with the term starseed, or may just have always felt like, you know, Earth wasn't really your home, or you just never felt quite comfortable in your body, or just don't really like being in the body. Okay, so that could apply to you, but we'll see how Saturn wants to touch upon this energy as we go through the rest of the cards. I do want to also read to you the rune that you chose and its meaning. So here's the rune, and this rune means inner strength, grounding, security, and fertility. It's interesting that fertility was brought up because in the astrological die and just the regular die that were rolled, you all have Pluto in the 5th house in Pisces, so that Pisces amethyst energy, as well as houses number 1 and 4, because 1 and 4 came out on the regular die. So fertility, which makes me think of pregnancy and childbirth, is also associated with the 5th house. And even the 4th house is associated with motherhood and childhood and parenting. And then the 1st house is our own self and our own identity. Now, Pisces is a sign that kind of touches upon not really having boundaries between yourself and others, or between your hardships and your delights in life. Like with Pisces, everything blends together. And Pluto is all about transformation. Really, just Pluto comes in our life in order to destroy something so that we can transform from it. Some of you may really resonate with the Bible story and tarot reading that I did on the life story of Job, because that was a lot about Pluto energy, and I explained the astrological symbolism in that story with the devil and Pluto and what's going on in Job's life. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, check out that video. It's a newer video that I've done. because you may resonate with that. So with Pluto being here in your 5th house, there may have been losses you've experienced, especially with Pisces too, in relation to miscarriage and pregnancy, or some odd things going on with childbirth, perhaps a surprise pregnancy that completely transformed your life. And if it doesn't have to do with children, although I feel with most of you it does, children and pregnancy and fertility, then this could have to do with your own creations, things that you've tried to create out into the world that have just been destroyed or, stolen or misused, like some sort of abuse going on here is what it feels like. And all of these things are a part of something Saturn's trying to teach you. And it feels like it has something to do with your boundaries and the consequences of not maintaining those boundaries in your life, not being grounded in your body and what that has resulted in, what that's done to you. In those moments in your life where you've not been grounded and rooted in your own body, you haven't been willing to make boundaries, what that's done. Some of you, 5th house is also about sex. This could have to do with, sexual assaults even, or STDs, or, just your sexual life in general, one night stands. 5th house is also about like clubbing, partying, drinking, like the party life. So nicotine habits, smoking, all that could fall under this. But Saturn's really here to help structure this, because it seems like I'm getting the sense that in your day-to-day life, people really see you as a Saturnian person, as a very practical, no-nonsense, go-getter type of person. It's in the moments where you let go of your boundaries, either through sex or in your relationships, maybe when you fall in love, because 5th house is about romance, you really let go of all of your boundaries, or addictions. Those are you'll notice if you look back on the Saturn transits in your life, that those are the moments when when Pluto comes in and really implodes something. Those are the moments when you lose your boundaries and you really take on that like Pisces sort of energy. But in your day-to-day life, you don't do this. Saturn's wanting me to point that out to you. I'm not sure why. Maybe we'll expand on that as we get into the tarot cards. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the tarot. Let's start with the first card. Okay, we have the Guru of Feelings. This is a tarot deck I actually created for my own use. The Guru of Feelings is also known as the King of Cups. So let's read this card. It is upright. It says, an emotionally healthy person, a psychologist, a giving person, a person who knows how to provide love, a person in control of their emotions in a healthy way, a creative, unselfish, sensitive, mature person, an emotionally stable person. And this card also is associated with Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and houses 3, 7, and 11, as well as the midheaven. So yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like in your day-to-day life, you operate without emotions. But in the moments where your emotions take over, it's like chaos ensues. Like you get into this really toxic romantic relationship, or you let go of your boundaries when you're having fun or playing, but in a way that it becomes like dangerous, where you get quite risky with it. And Saturn wants to talk about why that is, and he wants to lead you to, he sees this sort of deep well of emotions that you have, and he's in your life to help you harness those emotions and stabilize them and use them in a very productive way, instead of using them in only to create chaos in your own life. Because I do see a lot of chaotic energy. You are very fertile, and that is like your manifestation abilities are actually extremely fertile. But because you only tap into your emotions when you're in these out of control sort of states, either like high in some way, or drunk, or in love. All these are sort of like drugged up states of the mind. You're not able to utilize them for progression in your life, because in your day-to-day life, there really is no emotion. You're very like practical, no nonsense. And so that's why you don't see this sort of magical manifesting ability in your day-to-day life. But you'll notice in the moments where you are really getting risky and playful and like letting yourself go and getting out of your own body through romance or risk or alcohol, whatever it is, it's like things manifest very quickly for you. Like you're the type of person that maybe has never slept with someone their entire life. And then one night you're like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to do it. Everyone else does it. I'm going to go have a one night stand. And then in that one night stand that you decide to have, you get an STD. And it's like, what the hell? I have friends who just sleep around every weekend and none of them suffer an issue. But the one time I decide to let go and let loose, I get this. Or you end up unexpectedly pregnant, or I don't know, you suffer some sort of health issue related to going out. And it's like always on you, even though, you know, you're surrounded by people that take risks all the time. Your manifesting abilities are like very, very strong. So it's like that one risk, that one moment of letting go of your boundaries, it always creates something. You don't just come out the other side just like you were before. It brings something new with you, whether that be a child or, you know, some sort of disease or whatever it is. It's a very chaotic energy right now. And Saturn wants to help stabilize this energy so that you can use these manifestation abilities for like growth in your life, for things you actually want. But he did bring you some lessons through this chaos just so that you could see how potent your manifesting energies are. Like, use this wisely. Saturn's like, maybe other people can get away with kind of messing around or going crazy, but not you, because God created you in order to manifest something big. But that manifesting energy doesn't just contain itself to one area of your life. It's everywhere. So we've got to learn how to rein this in. But very powerful energy. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have south nodes in the 12th house or in Pisces or Scorpio or the 8th house, because I feel that in past lives you gain some sort of esoteric knowledge in maybe spell work or manifestation or working with the dead. Like there's some sort of ability you have to like cross over into a different sort of realm spiritually and then manifest it into the physical. And that somehow was used in previous lifetimes. Okay, let's look at the other tarot cards. All right, we have the Emperor, Aries energy, as well as 5 of Swords, as well as the Fool. Love it. The Hierophant, this is Taurus energy. And you were the only group that had 5 tarot cards come out. So the last card is the Chariot. This is Cancer energy. Holy crap, you guys. There are 4 major arcanas on the table right now. Major arcana cards in the tarot are a big deal. They're the first 22 cards in the tarot, and they signify big spiritual lessons, big spiritual energy. And you all have 4 out of 5 of the cards that came out are major arcana. So this is crazy. So first of all, we have Aries energy with the Emperor. We have air energy and Uranus energy with the Fool. We have Taurus energy with the Hierophant and Cancer energy with the Chariot. And remember, on the die that rolled, we had number 1, which represents the first house, which is ruled by Aries. So that goes well with the Emperor. And we also had die number 4 roll, 4th house energy ruled by Cancer here in the Chariot. So very strong correlations with these piles. So, wow, yeah, you guys carry a very strong spiritual energy with you. But when that spiritual energy is untamed, it is chaotic, okay? Very chaotic. And that is the main lesson Saturn's trying to bring into your life, creating order through the chaos, remaining grounded in your body while using this deeply spiritual, creative, manifesting sort of energy. Okay, so up until this point in your life or through Saturn's lessons, you may have had unplanned pregnancies, miscarriages, abortions, drug use, STDs, toxic romantic relationships. Maybe you refer to them as like twin flame relationships, mental health issues. Like it's like this major chaotic, I'm like seeing a tornado basically around you. You're a powerful sorcerer or sorceress, and Saturn's here to help you tap into that energy and stabilize it. You know, the Emperor is about being that king or queen over our domain, knowing where everything is, having everything in order, and being a master of your day-to-day domain and your identity, being strong in who and what you are and what you manage. And then the Fool here is about freeing ourselves of the baggage of the past. I feel like a lot of this chaotic energy has been scary for you. I feel like you have had a fear of your own self and your own power at some level. You all may be the type of people that can really freak yourselves out by looking in the mirror, looking at your own reflection. Staring at it for too long may scare you because you can see that power beneath. You've experienced your own chaotic power and how it's caused that Pluto sort of destruction in your life. And these chaotic moments that have come in, you may have carried that baggage with you, the pain with you from those moments, the fear from those moments, the anxiety. And Saturn's here to help you really let go of all of that baggage, because the Fool represents that. The Fool is on a brand new journey. You don't see the Fool carrying, 10 different luggages with him. He's got enough to maybe hold himself a sandwich, and that's it. He left all the rest in the past. He's thinking about the future. Saturn really wants to teach you how to think forward and not get stuck in that fourth house energy of the past. How do I keep my mind and my heart and my energy on what's ahead, what's to come? What do I need to plan and work towards? Because staying in that dark energy of the past, it will overwhelm you. Okay? And you're not meant to live in that chaotic energy, and Saturn's going to help you stabilize. The Hierophant is often about stabilizing, having a sense of commitment towards things, following a set of rules and regulations about things, and not straying from that. So you are meant to be a very stable, committed sort of person. But you have to use that chaotic, magical, spiritual sort of energy that you have in this way. Because if you ignore that energy, then when you do go to create or to play or to relax and enjoy, it's going to overtake and come out there. It has to come out somewhere. So Saturn wants to teach you to use this in a more constructive, organized sort of way, but to definitely use it. And then the Chariot card here at the end is again about forward movement as well as balance. Taking everything you've learned from the past, taking everything you learned from that chaotic energy, and leaving it behind, moving forward with all of that in mind, with all the wisdom you've gained, but moving forward. The Chariot is about movement forward just as much as the Fool is. Woo! With this Seven of Swords energy, this is also about, Saturn wants to teach you how to do what you need to do without needing approval from other people. Saturn wants you to make big, bold moves for yourself, with yourself in mind, do what you need to do, without needing the approval of others. So codependency could be an issue here. Saturn wants you to move away from that, being self-conscious about your image because of a fear of how others view you. Saturn's wanting you to take on this more like Aquarius energy of, I'm unique, this is who I am, it is what it is, this is what I'm going to do. I don't really need you guys' approval because this is what I know I need to do. That's going to help you also tame this sort of really awesome chaotic, I keep calling it this chaotic energy, but that's what it feels like. It's like pure chaos. But God created everything through that chaotic energy. Darkness is chaos, and it's the only energy that can create anything. You can only create through chaos, and you guys have a ton of it. Like, it's insane. It's pretty cool, the imagery and things that I'm getting. Okay, let's look at the Moon card here. All right, we have the full moon in Capricorn. It says the end of a tough cycle approaches. Beautiful. Capricorn is the sign ruled by Saturn. And yeah, this chaos has been really tough for you guys to live through. I see that. Saturn's here to help you realize through little bits and things that he shows you that you're the one that holds the chaos and can therefore control it and maintain it and move forward with it, and to no longer be scared of your own powers and scared of your own self. But let's flip through the book. I want to read the book meaning on this card for you to expand on this. Okay, it says, how hard are you willing to work for what you want? This card is reminding you that effort is required. Work issues may be about to come to a head when this card comes up. If you're wondering if you should stay in your job or leave, this card can be a strong sign to make an exit. The end of a rough time is forecast. This card also asks you to consider how ambitious you are and whether you're prepared to pull out all the stops to make your professional dreams come true without being ruthless. With a love question, this card can be a call to face reality. Whatever situation you're asking about, making a plan will help. If your personal life is troubled, prioritize it more. Additional meanings for this card: a professional project may be ending now. Admit if you have been overly hard-headed or hard-nosed. Find a balance between your personal and private lives, and it's time to stop fearing the worst. The teaching on this card says, the full moon in Capricorn has a very strong work ethic and energy, and will more than likely come up when you're asking a professional question. If your question is about another matter, it will serve as a much-needed reminder to move through any feelings of hopelessness you may have been feeling about your situation, and this applies no matter when you draw the card. Making a plan is a far better use of your time. So that fits so well with the energy in the tarot, because ultimately Saturn's trying to teach you how to plan, how to organize, how to make commitments and stick to them. And the way that he may have taught you or tried to steer you in the right direction is, and start noticing and paying attention to this, in the moments where you don't make a plan, when you don't follow through with your plans, when you don't set the boundaries that you need for yourself, the rules that you need for yourself, that's when the pitfalls come. So even though it may not be fun and exciting to kind of stick to those plans or organize, like that may sound so mundane to you all because you do have this beautiful, like gorgeous, sexy, sort of chaotic, dark energy about you. When you don't follow the rules and regulations and set the plans and stick to them, that's when Saturn comes in with some tough lessons of, well, this is how the chaos is going to ensue. So you better learn to manage it. So, Saturn's trying to get you to do this for your career, for your education, and for your own health and your own body, as well as your home life, your family life, what kind of parent you are, what kind of daughter you are or son you are, what kind of sibling you are, what kind of spouse you are. Like all of these things require a groundedness and a set of rules and priorities and regulations and commitments and movement forward. Saturn really, especially for you, does not want you stuck in the past. Not at all. He would rather you be someone that really pushes towards the future and doesn't let things like guilt and regret overcome them. Because I feel like you all may live with a lot of guilt and a lot of regrets about decisions and chaos from the past. Saturn's really here to say, no, that's done. Okay, that's done and over. Let's push forward. How can we make a plan today for a better tomorrow? What sort of rules and boundaries can we create for a better future? Let's think forward, Forget about the past. That's what that Fool energy represents. And Saturn also wants you to have more grace towards yourself. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes life brings us situations where there's not sort of a way to come out completely clean and untainted on the other side. Sometimes we have two equally kind of icky choices and we have to choose between one or the other. So Saturn really wants you to stop pretending like you are an imperfect being operating in a perfect world, a person who, for every fault you've ever made, there's a reason why you could have done something differently. Saturn's here to say, no, honey, you're an imperfect person in an imperfect world. And sometimes there isn't any choice except to do something imperfect. Kind of like, for example, if a robber breaks into your house and you literally think that you are about to die, and so you grab that gun for protection and you shoot him and you end up killing him. And, it's like you could live in that regret of having murdered someone. No one wants to kill anyone. That's a horrible thing to do. But Saturn's here to say, look, sometimes life brings you situations where you aren't left with many options. You have to choose one, and you did what needed to be done. It was either your life or theirs. So he wants you to really let go of the guilt that you hold on to for those situations in your life so that you can move forward. Okay, let's look at the animal card. You all have the crab. It says, show your emotions and regenerate love. Goes great with the Cancer card, the Chariot card, because Cancer is represented by the crab, as well as the fourth house energy here. Let me read the book meaning on this card for you. As crab's whole being is synchronized to the waxing and waning of the opalescent moon, so are your body's hormonal and physiological systems tuned to the world's circadian rhythms. Live in harmony with these, and your whole being will thrive. Crab is protected by a rigid carapace, but to grow, she must risk molting her armor, becoming soft and vulnerable. Like crab, garner courage and take that risk, be it sporting trial, mental task, or emotional revelation, which offers you regeneration and emotional flowering. Beautiful. So Saturn's definitely trying to teach you how to live in a protected state with those boundaries, like the crab, which has a shell, but to just let that be your shell. To have that protective state doesn't mean that you are armored up in every inch of your body in every area of your life. There are areas of our life which are meant to be vulnerable and emotional, and then areas of our life which are meant to be rigid and tough. And Saturn's here to teach you that balance between the two. Having the protective mechanisms in place, having the rigidness where it needs to be, and the rules and structure and the armor where it needs to be, but then also having that emotional vulnerability where that needs to be, opening up with others and with yourself, being soft towards yourself and towards your loved ones. So he's teaching you that balance between, because I think there's been an extreme for you all. Because like I said, in your day-to-day life, people would actually describe you as a very Saturnian sort of person. And this emotional side only tends to be able to come out when you are detaching from your body completely through, romance and falling in love and head over heels, and maybe a bit of codependency, or through, sex or pleasure of any kind, maybe even like going on food binges or, alcoholic binges or partying. That's the only time where your vulnerable side gets to come out. That's when you feel like you can open up and bond with people and be close with people and lovey-dovey. Saturn wants to teach you how to express that energy that you love so much in other areas and healthier ways in your life, and to build up your health and your private life to what it needs to be, so that way you can achieve what you want in your outside life as well. All right, let's look at the success card. Jenna Lyons. Now, Jenna Lyons, she was in charge of the clothing company J. Crew, and was kind of a big part of it turning around. It was like the J. Crew was losing a lot of money for many years. She started the company when she was very young, and then eventually worked her way up to being the face of the brand and increasing the sales. And she was like the public face of the company, and kind of became famous through her work with J. Crew. Okay, it says, do not go gentle into that drab print. May the best spokesperson choose you. And when one door closes, order a better one online. So Jenna Lyons, she was known for kind of dressing in like a tomboyish, nerdy sort of way. Those are the words that people would use to describe her. So like meeting her, you may not see what a creative person and a creative powerhouse she is because of the way she presents herself to others. But behind the scenes, behind closed doors, when she's working her magic, she has a deeply creative energy that was able to turn an entire clothing line around, and bring people in and pull people in. So she has an artistic nature that isn't around all the time. She puts on that suit of armor through the clothes that she wears, and coming off as very intelligent and kind of masculine and tomboyish and, book smart. But she has this creative ability underneath everything. And that's kind of the energy I see for you all. It's very different what people see at face value versus who you are beneath everything. You may not have even truly discovered who you are beneath that face value image that you present. And that last line, when one door closes, order a better one online, just makes me think of that Fool card and that Emperor card and even that Chariot card. Saturn may bring blockages into your life, but it's to get you to shift to another direction. He wants you to keep looking forward and to not get stuck on, I wish that door wouldn't have closed. Why was that door closed for me? That was the door I wanted. Saturn's like, no, stop that. There's 5 other doors over here I'm trying to lead you towards. Let go of that door from the past, whether that be, a relationship that you wish you could get back, or a job opportunity you wish you could have. Whatever it is, keep thinking forward. Keep thinking towards your future. Okay, let's look at our last card. So far, these have been my favorite cards to read because they sum up the reading so well. Let's see what yours says. It says, inspired, I go after my bliss, but I am also open to the emotional reactions of others. So let me open up the book and read you this card. It says, if someone disagrees with us, we may get angry. Feeling right and in control of a situation makes many of us feel safe and secure in the world. However, seeing an issue from someone else's point of view can be very sobering because it helps us see that there's no right single answer to every problem. The point is, there are many times when what we experience can be distorted by our mood and our history. Everyone's viewpoint is equally distorted by their own personal lens. Our self-esteem and self-respect can't be so insecure that we get angry when someone disagrees. For a healthy mood and sense of self-esteem, we have to be open to the viewpoints of others. So there's several messages I'm actually getting from this card. I feel like Saturn has definitely, he's shown you your chaotic energy and your manifesting abilities by immediately bringing you results when you let go of your boundaries. And I think there's been a lot of anger and resentment that you've held towards life and towards your own self when those things occur, because you view them as these huge, major mistakes that you've got to live with forever. And how can I possibly let go of the anger and sadness and resentment that I feel towards life or towards myself or towards these people for doing this to me? And Saturn is showing you this card because he wants to remind you that that's only going to keep you held down in that negative energy by viewing these situations in such a way, by not being able to look towards the future, by holding yourself back in the past. It's only keeping you down longer. And he truly has, I mean, what he's saying to me is anything you've done up to this point, it may not be reversible, but it's definitely not holding you back from the path he has in store for you. Saturn's here to help us create a legacy. And he's literally telling me there's nothing you have done that has tarnished or reversed my ability to help you build a legacy in your life. So he wants you to let go of that anger and that resentment that comes out towards yourself or towards life or towards others, maybe even in the form of depression or escapism in some way. He wants you to stay inspired and to keep going after your own future and to keep continuing to create. But yes, he does want you, to help get things organized and on a schedule and disciplined. Absolutely. But I think some of you have maybe given up on that because you're like, well, screw it. Even if I create a schedule, I won't keep it. Even if I am disciplined, life's still going to throw wrenches in the way. So screw it. I'm not even going to try. And Saturn's like, no, get out of that. You are such a great manifester. You can get to where you want so unbelievably quickly once you kind of get a handle on this magic that's within you, essentially. You guys are magical inside. You are sorcerers and sorceresses. So he wants to help you with that. And these lessons he's bringing in your life are only going to get easier and easier, okay? Because you may not even realize how much you've learned through Saturn's lessons so far, through his transits, the squares, the oppositions, the returns. You've already learned a lot. So what I'm hearing from Saturn is that the lessons are going to feel gentler and gentler each time because you are learning more than you realize through it. And the next time around, it's not going to feel as rough or as painful or as tough because you've learned more than you've realized. Your instincts have picked up on kind of what you need to do and how you need to navigate, okay? So comment below. Let me know what resonated, where Saturn is in your chart, and how this sort of chaotic energy has manifested in your life. I would love to know more details on your situation and get a conversation started down below. And feel free to share this video with someone that you think might need it to help pull them through a tough spot in their own life. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next reading. I love you so much. Bye.